Whether you have a music reaction channel like I do, or you're just a fan of music, having a Spotify premium subscription is a cheat code. Or if you're just a fan of an artist, there's tour dates and links to merch and all this other cool stuff. Now, I haven't done the exact polling on this, but I'd hazard to guess that you might all agree with me when I say that Spotify is one of the, if not the most convenient app that you have. But if it's so great and it's so convenient, why haven't I used it in 4 months, and why did it take me till just now to cancel it? And if you've been thinking about getting rid of Spotify, you're not alone. In fact, you'd be joining a rapidly growing movement of people rejecting streaming altogether. So in this video, I want to give you all the reasons why I think getting rid of Spotify is completely valid, some advice as to what a post-Spotify life looks like for you, and what my experience has been like since I quit using it. Starting with my personal relationship with Spotify, I started using it in 2014 after reading about it in an article of Rolling Stone. Just a quick little blurb about Spotify, but it said that they had just about everything except the Beatles. Outside of that, it was the ultimate music buffet. A couple months after that, I finally got my first job, was finally able to pay for the premium subscription, and I've been paying for it ever since. I used to say that Spotify could charge me 3 times as much and I'd still pay for it because that's just how much it meant to me. And it probably means a whole lot to you too. It was just this explosion of new artist discovery. Like, bitch, you ever heard of Fiddler? What you know about Dr. John? I bet you don't know jack shit about Dr. John. The suggestions algorithm was just that good. It was a renaissance every day of the week. But it seems that this was just a prolonged honeymoon phase because I can't stand to look at Spotify anymore. So here are just some of the reasons that finally made me quit Spotify. So when I say that I quit Spotify, I quit it in my personal day-to-day, moment-to-moment use. If you don't follow my channel, this is primarily a music reaction channel, so I've kept Spotify for that, but otherwise it's been off my phone since the top of 2026. I think there's a lot of reasons why somebody would get rid of Spotify, but for me, I think it's that it makes music disposable. And I'm not just talking about when you throw on a playlist and you skip 15 songs till you find one you like that's pretty common. That's fairly normal. I'm talking about it more in a philosophical way, I guess. Like, I've been a record collector, be it CDs or LPs, since I was 5 years old. And once you have a big enough collection, you start to realize that it's an extension of yourself. It's expressive just by the fact that you own them, because no two collections are the same. Like, relatives would have me come by and look through their old LPs that were just sitting there collecting dust, or they were records that belonged to somebody in the family who passed away. And as I'm looking through these titles, I'm getting a glimpse into their personalities, their interests, their emotions. And in those moments, I was learning aspects about my family that I wouldn't have known otherwise. Now, take a look at streaming. Sure, you may have your favorite artists in a playlist, or, you go ahead and you follow your favorite artists on Spotify, but then it all kind of just drifts away into everything else that's ever been made. But is it personal just because it's on your phone and it's on your account? Well, I'd argue no, because that brings me to my second point. Subscriptions are dog shit. Look, music is valuable and you should act like it by putting your money where your heart is. And if you're a real music lover like I am, you'd think that having endless access to just about everything that's been made is quite the bargain. Okay, it is a bargain, I'll be real with you, but let me throw this at you real quick. Let's say you signed up for Spotify Premium when I did, early 2014. You'd be spending $9.99 a month. That is until March of 2024 when they raise it to $10.99 a month. And then it jumped to $11.99 in 2025, and in 2026 it jumped up to $12.99. With those numbers, I've estimated that I've spent over $1,500 over the past 12 years on Spotify, and again, while it seems like a bargain at face value, I think I much rather would have spent $1,500 on music that I actually own. Remember Dr. John, who I mentioned earlier? Well, he has an album called Dr. John Plays Mac Rebenak. And this included some one-off session tracks, but particularly this one song called Brightest Smile in Town. It's just a wonderful piano track that I adore that fills this void that no other song can fill. And I'm sure you have a song that fits that description too. And one day when I was in college, I went to go play that song and it was gone. It was grayed out. I just couldn't play it anymore. From what I can tell, they added it back to Spotify in 2023. Maybe they did it beforehand, but I can't tell you how many times I've tried to listen to the Blues Brothers soundtrack and have either one or two songs, or hell, half of the goddamn album grayed out because these songs are in licensing hell. There only seems to be this illusion of grand access and ownership because any of these artists, any of these songs can just leave Spotify on a whim. Another thing that grinds my gears about Spotify's subscription model is that it would be one thing if the app was serving me new artists that I actually enjoy on a regular basis, instead of me just insisting that I listen to the same music that I've been listening to for the past 3 years. It feels like I've been paying for the same albums and the same artists over and over and over again, and that's because I have been. Which leads me to my third reason why I'm leaving Spotify. The algorithm is dog shit. Last year, I opened up Spotify on my phone and just by glancing at it, realized that the UI had somehow gotten way worse, but I was scrolling down to my discovery section. It was showing me new artists and new albums to get into, and I saw something pretty startling. I had Undertow by Tool and Dark Side of the Moon recommended to me. Now, for you, that might be scary because it's dad rock, but it was scary to me because obviously this algorithm was completely broken because I listen to both of these albums at least 2 times a year. And the same can be said about the once great Discover Weekly. Like, please stop putting Devil's Haircut by Beck on there. I already know this song, and it's not even the best song on Odelay. What the fuck am I paying you for? And do you remember when shuffle actually meant shuffle? A random volley of songs between Leftover Crack and Al Green? But it seems like every time I put shuffle on a playlist anymore, it just cycles through the same songs over and fucking over again. Now, my playlists are usually pretty long, at least a couple hundred songs long, so what I ended up doing was just scrolling to a random spot on any given playlist and starting it from there because I just couldn't risk hearing the same songs over again. There's only so many times in a week you can listen to High by Jimmy's Chicken Shack. And even when I was using Spotify, the death of the Discover feature was really what I mourned the most. I remember the pre-Spotify days of Pandora, and yes, while not as convenient, you'd plug in an artist's name and you'd just get this explosion of new artists to listen to. And yeah, maybe that's just a me problem, but one thing about Spotify that I think is a problem for all of us is my fourth point. The AI implementation is dog shit. So DJX was one thing. Tried it out, and it's a fake voice that tries way too hard to sound cool, and it just plays you songs you would have listened to anyway. Fine. But the emergence and relative acceptance of AI music being on Spotify should be the dagger that takes us all off of the app. At the risk of giving these clankers more attention, you had the Velvet Sundown and Zamia Monet getting huge numbers last year, and it was kind of funny at first, like, haha, we got duped, we all thought it was real, haha. Yet this shit is still up there. Like, I couldn't imagine you having the same issues I have with Spotify and finally finding a new song that you really like, just to find out that it's AI. But maybe I listened to an argument that says, well, if you liked it, why does it matter if it's AI? You didn't know it was AI when you liked it. But I say it's a big matter. Matter big. In finding those new artists, it gets me excited to see them live. I don't have a ton of expendable income, but one thing that I will put money towards is going to see live music. To me, it is the pinnacle of the music experience. Finding artists and getting to know their catalog is just a great way to get you excited about the prospect of one day maybe just seeing them play it live. And I ain't paying to see no wireback play shit live, I'll tell you that much. And I think this is a central foundational aspect to my argument here when I say that you need to put your money where your heart is. Because if supporting an artist is what you like and supporting even smaller artists is something you like even more, being on Spotify is the worst thing you can do. My fifth point, payouts to small artists are dog shit. You guessed it. Good for you. Now, there's tons of videos that go into this topic better than I ever could, but the skinny is, unless you are buying music from your favorite small artists or going to their shows or buying their merch, you're not supporting them on Spotify, at least financially. The most consistent information that I've been able to find on this point is that artists tend to make 0.004 cents per stream. That means if a song got 1 million plays, that artist only gets $4,000. Well, it's actually less considering Spotify takes like 30% or something crazy like that. To put this into context, back in the day, 1 million sales of a single would have made that a platinum selling single. And I can almost guarantee you they would have made more than just $4,000, and that's even as the record industry was dog shit back then. And I think this goes back to my point of music now just being disposable, because the payouts clearly show that, especially considering the gargantuan payout they gave Joe Rogan to do whatever the fuck he's doing. But Spotify wasn't really profitable until 2024. You could make the argument that yes, while the payouts are shit, it is a small price to pay so that all of us can collectively listen to and engage in all of this music. It's like some bullshit AI music commune or something. But my sixth point is why that argument is dog shit. I honestly don't know how the fuck we got here. All it was a music streaming platform. Now we have AI bands, podcasts, audio slot books, and now the chief executive, Daniel Ek, is paying $700 million to fund a German AI defense company. We went from, holy shit, oh my god, the Beatles are finally on Spotify, to our executive is financing World War III. And I know, every corporation is evil at this point. Google, they own YouTube. I kind of hate them, but I yap a lot, and YouTube has a lot of people that may want to listen to me yap, so it's a calculated venture for me. But what I can't stand is this enshittification of Spotify where small artists are getting pushed aside by AI bands, all the while they're getting paid pennies just to support some dude's uprising of Skynet. And is putting your money where your heart is enough to have a happy and fulfilling life in late-stage capitalism and you can still be a cute little good consumer? Because artists like King Gizzard took their music off of the platform, and you know what? Good for them. They can't support this shit. But is Spotify going to crumble just because there's no more gumboot soup on their platform anymore? No. Hell no. You'd need Drake or Taylor Swift or Bad Bunny to take their music off the platform to change fuck all. But maybe you sleep better at night knowing that you put your money towards something you believe in, and I just don't believe in Spotify anymore. Oh, and the quality is dog shit too. Just figured I'd mention that. I'm not a scientist. I can't really talk about all the nitty-gritty details on compression and lossless audio, but yeah. It definitely sounds worse than a CD, I can tell you that. And actually, just do this for me, because this is something I've done in my own experience. Grab a CD, any CD. Play the CD in your car, listen to it, see how it makes you feel, see how the ears are feeling, and then play that song on Spotify. I think there is a stark difference. So those are my reasons for wanting to leave Spotify, and I really do hope that you related to a lot of those. But like, what's the alternative? What will my life be like without Spotify Wrapped? Well, every use case will be different, but here's my advice to you. Just get the idea of Spotify out of your head. Nothing, and I mean nothing, will be as convenient as playing any song you want to at any time. If you're looking for something that is just as convenient, there isn't. I mean, yes, try Tidal, try Apple Music, but to gain a true appreciation for your music again, you have to leave streaming entirely. Before I left Spotify, it took me about a month to rip over 400 of my CDs onto my computer so then I could put them onto my phone. It's a little outrageous, I know, but it doesn't have to be that hard for you. You're actually in a better position than I was if you don't have any CDs at all right now. You can get CDs so cheaply at the moment, it's ridiculous. I wouldn't spend all your time at a thrift store unless you really like Kenny G, Dave Matthews Band, and Christmas music, but there are some diamonds in the rough that you can still find for really cheap at thrift stores. But I've started to notice that Walmart is bringing back their $5 bins of CDs, and there's always good deals on Craigslist, eBay, Marketplace that might even net you a lot of hundreds of CDs for really cheap. Now, you do need a laptop and a disk drive at the very least, so again, maybe not the lowest barrier to entry, but I think it's worth it. I got this really funny feeling inside of me as I was watching my digital collection grow. I've had these CDs for forever, but now that I have my MP3s, I can take them wherever I want. My entire adult life represented in digital form for me to listen to without data, and it's mine until I decide to delete it. And if you can't afford even the cheapest of CDs, go to the fucking library. Oh my god, the library. If you have a library by you, just sign up for a card and browse a catalog that is just as big as Spotify, if not bigger. And so long as you have the disk space for it, your collection's as big as you want it to be. And I know that there's a lot of MP3 players that have started making waves on the internet, but I think a lot of them are just way too expensive, so I can't comment on any of those, but just use an old phone. I have my collection on my old Google Pixel 3, and it has like 8,000 songs on it, and it could probably stand a couple thousand more. As we can expect Spotify to get more expensive per month, please don't end up like me having paid over $1,500 to Spotify. Because if you want to more directly support your favorite artists in the easiest way possible, consider using Bandcamp. Bandcamp is fantastic. The UI is like straight out of 2011, but I don't give a shit. Most everything is on there, and you can listen to it before you buy. And when you do buy, you can always throw the band a couple more bucks, but only if you want to. Plus, let's say you don't want CDs taking up a whole bunch of space in your house. That's fine. Just buy the digital copy. You can buy it in MP3 and FLAC, whatever floats your boat. Never steal music. Stealing is bad, and stealing music is worse. Especially if you're stealing from an artist who is already very rich and very successful. Stealing music is still very bad. If you've ever used SoulSeek, you're a piece of shit. I'm not a lawyer, and this is not legal advice. Again, I'm not going to get into the granular, nitty-gritty scientific details of audio files, but I think if you listen to music a lot, you would know that listening to a CD or straight-up audio file is way better than streaming it in almost every case. I know Tidal does FLAC streaming, but I still don't trust that shit. But before you start building up your own digital collection, let me save you from a mistake that I made. Long story short, FLAC files tend to sound better than MP3 files because they're lossless. FLAC files aren't as compressed as MP3 files, so even if you aren't able to tell the difference between listening to a song on a FLAC file or from an MP3 file, you will be able to notice that FLAC files are much bigger. So just make sure that if you're doing a digital collection of FLAC files that you have enough space, because you will run out of space very quickly. I had to convert my entire collection back to MP3 because I just ran out of hard drive space. Maybe a general rule would be put MP3s on a phone and keep the FLAC files on your computer. Because right now I have a FLAC copy of my collection that sits at 147 gigabytes and an MP3 collection that sits at less than 50. I know leaving Spotify might leave you concerned about not having your year-end wrap-up to post on Instagram in December, and I feel you. And even if you don't post your Spotify Wrapped, it might be nice just to have a record of what you listen to. And that's exactly what Scrobbling's for. Scrobbling is just keeping track of the music that you listen to across platforms. Spotify does this, as is evident by Wrapped, but you can still connect your Spotify to something like Last.fm, and Last.fm can give you weekly, monthly, yearly summaries like Spotify. And if you're playing MP3s, you're probably going to need a music player, a media player on your phone or on your desktop. I don't usually like the stock ones. I use Musicalit on my phone, and then from there I connect to this app called Panoscrobbler, and then from Panoscrobbler I connect it to Last.fm. Bing, bada boom, I'm keeping track of everything. Now, you may notice that it doesn't catch every listen, but hey, at least you're not supporting an AI doomsday, so win-win. Before you jump ship from Spotify, just real quick, I would really encourage you to export the data from your playlists and from your Wrapped so that you have it. If you're anything like me, these playlists are like diaries. They tell you where you were and what you were doing and who you were with when you made them and when you listened to them. So just grab the link to your playlist, go to something like unspotify.net, get a record of all the songs on your Wrapped and your playlists on a CSV spreadsheet. You may not have direct access to any of these songs in these playlists anymore, but having a detailed account of what you used to have on Spotify gives you the chance to build it up again. That about rounds up the most important pieces of advice that I have for you if you are considering leaving music streaming, but if I didn't bring something else up or you have any questions for me, please let me know in the comments. But what has my life been like without Spotify the past 4 months? Have I seen the face of God and realized my true potential? Not really. I mean, at first it was hard to not open Spotify because I would just go to that same spot on my phone like muscle memory, but I just put the MP3 media player app where it used to be, so that kind of settled that. It has been a little bit hard to not listen to new releases right away, but if this entire experience doesn't teach you patience, I don't know what the hell you did it for anyway. I will say, the hardest thing about leaving Spotify is not listening to a song that you hadn't heard of in forever, but all of a sudden it's stuck in your head and you just need to listen to it. I was driving around last month and Living Dead Girl by Rob Zombie came into my head. Like, I enjoy Rob Zombie. I'm not the biggest fan, but like this song is really catchy and it's pissing me off that I can't listen to this song immediately immediately right now. So I just did the next best thing and I bought the Rob Zombie Greatest Hits album. And look at that, I have Rob Zombie in perpetuity. And I had this excitement when I was buying that album, and it was a sense of excitement that I think is really at the core of this entire endeavor. Because I didn't really get excited listening to Rob Zombie or really anything on Spotify. But maybe in the same way that a Big Mac actually tastes phenomenal if you haven't eaten in 2 days, the same can be said about any form of stimuli that you've been deprived of. It was this aspect of getting excited and appreciating an artist that I didn't think I'd be able to get excited about and appreciate in that way before. It was a very telling experience for me, and I hope that it's a telling experience for you as well. And now, there's really only one thing left to do. Dude, what? What is this? If you leave us now, you'll take away the biggest part of us. There is no us. So there it is. It's done. And so while I have been using Spotify just for my album reaction videos this year, I obviously can't do that anymore. So if you're looking to support the channel, please do go ahead and like and subscribe and consider joining my Patreon where tiers start at just $1. Appreciate you guys for sticking around for this one. And as always, please let me know your thoughts on my thoughts in the comments. With all that said, I've been Jerry Bees. You've been awesome. Take it easy.
Diggity dog. Breaking. Diggity dog. Breaking. Diggity dog. Breaking. Diggity dog.